Welcome back, everybody, to the Entrepreneur Show. Today I have the sweet Linda Bello, and I feel like everybody says the sweet in front of your name, so I just had to throw it in. But we are here to talk about 5 months to freedom. Basically, letting go of the job that you have or whatever you're doing right now that you're not fulfilled with, and finally getting to that freedom lifestyle, whatever that may look like. That's what we're here to talk about because Linda did it herself. I've done it myself. There's a lot of other people out there that have done it too. And it's your turn next.
Hi, man. Welcome to the Wanderless Wandermore Show with your host, Christy Candelario. A movement for life, for freedom in life. Watch it. Wanderless, Wandermore. Expert advices for sure. Wanderless, Wandermore. Helping you become an entrepreneur. Wanderless, Wandermore. Travel around the world, let us go explore. Wanderless, Wandermore. Expert advices for sure. Come and be guided and supported by this podcast show. With enough insight just to help you grow. Special guest experts, business adventures about great lifestyles and so much more. Launching, transforming and leveling up businesses globally since 2012. Stay tuned and wonder less so you can wonder more.
So I'll let the fabulous Linda introduce herself and tell us more about herself. And also, before we get started, I thought it was kind of funny. Linda asked me, what to expect because we're actually recording this and we haven't actually launched the show yet. And so she was like, okay, so what do you expect? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be super professional and super stuffy. Wear your suits and tie, we're going to make this super stuffy. And I thought that was kind of funny to share because, she's my kind of person, where you can joke around like that. And so it's awesome to have people on the show that are just like me and just like you and have that vibe together. So anyways, let's hear it, Linda.
Thanks so much for having me on here, Christy. I'm super excited. Definitely when we were messaging back and forth, they're like, yeah, let's get on our business suits and make it super professional. I was like, no way. But yeah, I'm just super excited to be here. Just for your dream too. This has always been a dream for you to have your podcast, and I'm so happy I could be a part of it. And be able to share kind of the journey that you were talking about, the 5 months to freedom. So about me, do you want to know about my personal life or?
Yeah, let's get to know Linda. Let's go on that level. Let's forget about the professional level. Yeah, I know you live in Colorado, which is super cool. My husband and I, we're big into snowboarding, especially him. Maybe not so much me, but I like going to the mountains. I'm not saying I'm an expert like him.
Right.
He can go do all the jumps and go down backwards looking at me going, you're slow. And I'm like, I'm not slow. You're super fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us more about yourself and, kind of your journey.
Let's see. Well, I'm in Colorado now, but I always have to mention I'm a New Yorker. It's in my personality. It's definitely I'm very sarcastic, so I have to tell people I'm from New York, even though I live in basically maybe the freedom state of the United States. It's so beautiful here. The people are just kind of down to earth and calm. But I definitely have that New York side of me. So when I introduce myself, I'm like, just know that about me because I might throw out a little cuss word over there, or might be a little sarcastic. But I have been in Colorado for 4 years, I believe. And it wasn't where I wanted to be. I always thought I would be a New Yorker. I thought I'd be a girl.
You're the first person to say that, I feel like, that I've heard. And so many people want to move to Colorado. I hear a lot of people that want to move, or they're so happy they finally did move, and you didn't want to move there. Whoa.
I didn't. I wanted to be the city girl. I still always wanted that freedom lifestyle, but it looked a little bit different for me before I moved out here. But I've totally fallen in love with the mountains. I love that they're just a little car ride away. I used to actually live in the mountains, which was like 100% change from New York City slicker to like mountain girl, like living, like having mountains in my backyard. So I loved it. I thought it was going to be not for me, but I'm staying. So that was kind of my journey from New York to Colorado. And then also like the other part of the journey was this journey of like finding my own freedom. Because I always knew since day one that I was going to be an entrepreneur, but it took a little while to get there and figure out what I really wanted to do and how I wanted to serve people. And just, yeah, that journey has been probably involved like with the move to Colorado and helping me gain that clarity too.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying that you always knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. So like for me, when I was little, I used to literally play like business owner. Like my sister, I'd make her be my client or my customer, and she'd be like, I don't want to play this. And I'm like, no, you have to, because this is my store and you have to come here because we're playing a game. And so I would always do things like that. And then I'd be like, I'm having a lemonade stand. I'm going to be a dog walker in the neighborhood. I'm going to make birdhouses and sell them. Like I did so many little things. Like that was like before even like 4th grade when I started doing that. I think like 2nd grade is when I started my real first business, making a few dollars here and there.
I love it.
But that's like where the journey started for me. Is that kind of like the same that happened with you?
Definitely. So I didn't do lemonade stands, but I did garage sales all the time.
Oh, I did those too.
I would also do like go into my creative side. I would get everyone on my block, we call it a block in New York or street of whatever. But everyone from my block, I would coordinate these little dance routines. And I would get my neighbors to come watch them. And like, I was like, hey, you could pay $1 to come watch me dance. It's like a 10-year-old little Linda Bello just trying to.
I love it.
So silly.
Yeah, no, I used to say like, hey, I'll walk your dog. Every street's $1. And I had like a few like older couples that were like, okay, you can do it, but only once a week.
Yeah.
Like, don't come over here every day and tell me you're walking her. And then one time I was like, yeah, I went ahead and I walked her on another street, and the lady's like, am I supposed to pay her that extra $1? but it was fun. It was fun little ventures, and then it led up to a lot of other ones where I found myself just working for entrepreneurs, like self-employed people. I never worked for a big corporation. I always worked directly under the owner because I didn't want to work in a corporation. No, that was like my little dabbling around in entrepreneurship.
I love it. Yeah, definitely. So when I was, so I used to live next to a convenience store. Like my house was here, or the viewers can't see me, but my house was here, and like the convenience store was right next to my house. And so I worked there, and it was a small business, and I was kind of like, I did like the bookkeeping at like 16. I would just like keep track of all those things. And I loved my boss's lifestyle. Like he could just go to lunch whenever he wanted to. You can go to the gym whenever you wanted to. And he could take the day off and say, hey, Linda, do you want to take care of this? And I was like, I want that when I'm older. Like I want the freedom to be able to just do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and like make some good money too while I was at it, right? So always worked for small businesses. And then I went to college, and I went to school for business and kind of entrepreneurship, and just still didn't really know what I wanted to do. And when I got out of college and I got my degree, I was like, all right, I still don't know what I want to do. So I actually did end up going into the corporate world, and I was like, okay, why am I here? Everything that I worked towards, like, why am I here? So
I feel you.
I feel you. So yeah, I worked as a financial banker, and it was intentional a little bit because I wanted to kind of learn from business owners. Like I opened accounts for other people who had businesses, and like I kind of wanted to gain ideas from them, but it's still like that clarity still never came. I got a lot of experience, but I was like, all right, it's time for me to start doing my own thing. Like I need to stop thinking, I need to stop consuming, and I just need to do something for myself. So
yeah, no, I totally resonate with that, and I'm sure there's other people out there listening too that resonate. Like going back to your whole boss and wanting his lifestyle, I was the exact same way. Every single boss that I had, since they were the owner, I'd always be like, man, I really want their life. I should have this kind of business. But like there was no clarity on what like I wanted, other than the fact I knew I wanted the freedom. And so whenever I was in high school working at a pet resort, and I had like the coolest boss ever. Her family was amazing. It was so awesome to get to work there. Maybe they'll listen to this one day. But it was so much fun. And then I like was like, well, maybe I should open up my own pet resort because this is really fun. Like they have so much fun doing this. She has a ton of freedom. I want this too. And then I ended up working in the mortgage world for my uncle's company. And I was kind of like, oh, I really like this too. And I'm good for it. Like maybe I'm supposed to do this too and run this business. And then it wasn't until like I don't even know how it all happened really. I just knew that, and in college, I was like you. I went to school for entrepreneurship. So my bachelor's degree was in business management with a concentration of entrepreneurial studies. I don't know what yours was, but that's what they had at mine. Yeah. And while I was there and I had my first online business that, you know, I had my own stuff, but I was also involved in a network marketing company at the time. And things started to flow together. I was doing good in my business. I had other people at the school and outside the school that were not involved in my network marketing team. They were just business owners asking me and seeking me for advice. And here I am. I'm probably like 20 years old. And all these people, like all different ages, genders, religions, whatever you want to say, totally diverse crowd asking me for advice. And I ended up being invited to go talk at this live event. And I knew I was in the right place because it was nothing but like entrepreneurial minded people or people that like loved the crap out of marketing. Yeah. And it was so easy to do public speaking in front of this big crowd. And then I was invited back to do the same talk later on that night. And it would kind of all hit me like my senior year while I'm in college going, oh my God, like this is it. I need to help entrepreneurs. Like these are the people that get me. I get them. My energy's up. My vibe is there, and I vibe with them, and I got to be with them kind of thing. And I didn't have all the pieces together. I didn't know what an online business coach was. I just kind of started dabbling around in it, kind of see if there was something out there for this. And then I graduated and I got a job, even though I knew like there was something there, but I had all this like fear stuff going on and changing my business. And I shut down the first one. I tried starting up this one and I got the job. And originally I was only going to be there for like 4 or 5 months. That was it. Because I was stepping in for somebody on maternity leave. And I ended up being really good at the mortgages. I ended up staying. I ended up asking to stay. And eventually I kind of got burnt out because it was always driving me nuts that I didn't have the freedom that I had planned for and I had known. And I didn't give my dreams 100%, like effort. Like I didn't do the action for it. I had this dream and it was ready to go. And then I just let fear tell me to do what the normal route is, if that makes sense. So like that is my story. So I came from, I knew what I wanted to do, but I just had so many issues around fear. And I was not, I just was not in the place to just get myself out there and do it, even though it was meant to happen, but it just wasn't the right timing, I guess. Like it's basically like talking, but not having the words come out, and like you just can't produce your business, but it's there. So 2 totally different points on how we started.
Yeah, it's so similar too. I love it. Yeah, when I was a financial banker, I was offered so many raises while I was there. And every time they offered me a raise or a promotion or something like that, I would question it. And I'd be like, is this right for me? And I'd talk to my friends and my family and they're like, are you crazy? Like, why wouldn't you take this promotion? And I'm like, I'm just not excited about it. It means more responsibility for me. It's probably like the sign for me that like I was stepping more and more away from my freedom. At the time, I didn't really understand why I wasn't excited about it. But with every promotion that I got, the more unhappy I was. So I was just like sitting there. I remember one Monday I had this like crazy anxiety attack, and I was like, what is going on? Like, everything looks perfect. My family is happy for me. I was like the first person to graduate from from college. In my entire family, I have a huge family, by the way. And everyone was like rooting and cheering for me. And here I was like, I live in the most beautiful state in the country, and I don't even have the time to like enjoy it or see it. And
was this New York or Colorado?
This is Colorado. Yeah, no, right after college, I moved to Colorado. So now you might know how old I am. Yeah, so then I kind of just did some self-reflection, and I was like, I just want more freedom. So I worked for a small business again, and then gave that a try, hoping that would be like my answer. And then, you know, those feelings started coming back like, nope, you're supposed to do your own thing. You're supposed to do your own thing. And
and they come back a lot. Those feelings.
They'll keep nudging you. It's like if
like
you're
a daily reminder, kind of like an alarm clock for going into work. That's how many reminders you have.
Like, Linda, you're supposed to do bigger things. You're supposed to like get out there and like live that lifestyle you wanted when you were a little girl, doing like little dance routines for your neighbors. So, yeah, then I guess from there was kind of the network marketing thing. I tried that a little bit, and it opened up to this sea of opportunities of how I can really help people, help the people that I wanted to, and give me a little bit more clarity, and introduce me to business coaches too. It was probably like a year journey through that.
Yeah, it always seems like when you're trying to find yourself, it's not something that happens overnight. I know that some people may feel like it does when they see others do it, but it's not an overnight journey. It's something that usually takes a while. Like sometimes you can speed up the process of getting clear on what it is that you want to do. However, that's not the most case scenario, like for everyone. It's not going to happen that way. Because even with me, like whenever I started, I ended up just having a 6-month break. I felt like starting my business coach practice. I felt like I had this 6-month break where I didn't do anything. I wasn't taking action, and I had like lost myself while finding myself. And it was a crazy different experience, but it just because I wasn't being me. I was trying to be like others and trying to kind of like not necessarily copy them, but kind of like, okay, so it looks like everyone in the industry is this way that I'm seeing, even though there's a lot of other people I've never even seen online. And I was trying to like, okay, so if this is how they're all implementing things, then I'm going to kind of implement the same structure. And I lost myself doing that because it wasn't me. And it was a 6-month freaking break that shouldn't have happened, but it happened. But those kind of things happen to people. And it's okay that if you get that, like the dream starts working and then it doesn't. And then you have to like rediscover and define who you are. That's a big part of the journey, is finding yourself. Like entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development you could ever experience. Maybe I'm biased saying that. There could be something else out there, but I truly believe that that there's no other greater personal development, because it really is about you. Like you have to work on your mindset. You have to work on your money beliefs, your relationships, your business, your knowledge, how to react with other people, and so many other different levels where it's a bunch of personal development, and it's major. but Linda, do we want to talk about like kind of like the 5-month process? So maybe there's like 5 different phases. I don't know if they last a month or not, but like how do we help somebody? I know that we can't like really walk them through everything and it's going to happen for them overnight, but how do we help somebody get on the right track during this podcast episode to get them to go towards that freedom, like the 5 basic steps that we both took?
Yeah, definitely. Such a good question. So first, like the first step is definitely just acknowledging that there is that voice that's nudging you and telling you that there is something bigger that you're supposed to be doing out there, and not to ignore it and to really embrace it and be like, okay, like, what does this mean? Instead of like being like, oh, I have to run away from this feeling because it's going to come back. And when it comes back, it's going to come back so much stronger. And you're like, all right, like I'm doing it. If you're going to hit that point. I think there's a quote by like Elizabeth Gilbert. It's like, I've never seen a life transformation happen without the person in question being tired of their own bullshit. So that moment when you're over that bullshit, like that's when you're going to make things happen. And in this case, for the people that I work with, is to give them that freedom. So for me, I'm all about helping my clients, like, one, fall in love with what they do. Because a lot of people that come to me, they don't really know what they're like what's their thing, what are they supposed to put out there. So I want to make them, one, fall in love with what they do. 2, really like make the income that they desire, this lifestyle that they desire. And then 3, not have to sacrifice their freedom while they're at it. In the beginning, yes, we're going to put a little bit more work into our businesses because it's like the analogy where the plane uses the most fuel during takeoff. And then once you're off, you're good. You're flying, you're cruising, you're living that freedom lifestyle, right?
Exactly. That is so true about the whole plane thing, like that you just said. Like, startups, they take momentum, they take energy. And if you are working your daytime job or something, well, that means you're going to have to put in the hours somewhere else, whether that's the weekend, getting up earlier, doing it on your lunch break, after work. Like, it's important to realize that you may have to get rid of some of your freedom in the beginning, but know that it's not going to last forever. And know to communicate with those that you love, that, you know, maybe it's your spouse, your kids, whoever is super involved in your daily life, that you are taking time up to work on your business, and to let them know too, like, I'm doing this so we can have this, because it's important to also have that communication to help avoid some of those overwhelmed, stressful moments where you're like, I'm working on my business and people are mad at me because I'm working on my dreams, you know? So it's important to do that step too. That would be like part B of step 1.
Part B. So yeah, the first step is really just that acknowledgement. Like, this is like, I need to create this life for myself. I need to go for it instead of trying to fight against it. And then the second step is to really ask yourself, like, there's so many people who are like, what do I want to do with my life? For us, we knew we wanted to be an entrepreneur, but we didn't know what we wanted to do. But that question, like, really puts a lot of pressure on ourselves. So instead of asking yourself, like, what do you want to do? Like, what should I do with my life? Like, that's a crazy question. That's like your entire life we're talking about here, is to instead ask yourself, like, what type of person do you want to become? Like, so if I go back to the little dance routine, Linda, it wasn't that I loved dancing. It was that I loved being a leader, and I loved, like, being able to make my own income. So to ask yourself, what type of person am I working towards? And then when you're asking yourself that question, then you kind of find your journey on what you really want to do.
I love step 2. That is so awesome, because it's true that we always put so much pressure on ourselves to talk about, you know, like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? Like, so I'm 24. So I have friends that are like, just got out of college. Some of them are still in college. Some of them, you know, they're still trying to figure it out. Maybe they didn't even go to college. And a lot of them are like, well, I don't even know what I want to do for the rest of my life, Christy. And I think it's really impressive that you know what you want to do for the rest of your life. And it's like, guys, like, people live for a long time now. I have my grandma's almost 90. Brad's grandpa is 92, 93, forget. He went skydiving at his 90th birthday party, just so everybody knows. Overachiever. Like, talk about a life achiever. Like, he didn't plan that out when he was, you know, in his 20s, that he was going to go skydiving at 90. Like, like life's about living, and we don't have to plan every little thing. It's supposed to be spontaneous. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to like have that desire and stuff like that. And it's important to just ask yourself who you want to become. Like that is an awesome question. It's so deep. And it is, because it's something that like you don't think about, especially like when you, like if you were to ask me that like 2 years ago or something, I would be like, oh, I've never thought about that. And even though what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Like that is a crazy question. It's not necessarily deep. I mean, I guess it could be deep, but that's just a crazy question. But asking who do you want to become, that is a powerful statement, and figuring out what it is that you do want to become, because obviously, you know, it's not going to matter at the end of the day, you know, what job it is. It's going to matter how you feel. It's going to matter, did you have that freedom? Did you make those memories? How many people in your life did you love and actually spend time with? Like, it's going to matter about those things at the end of the day if we were on our deathbeds right now. And so I love that is step 2.
Yeah, it's just going to bring you, like, it's going to take the pressure off yourself. Like, I want to become a leader. I want to become, I want to be inspiring and focus on the person that you want to be. And that's going to lead you the way to what you want to do. So yeah, that is step 2, to really like creating this freedom lifestyle for yourself. Then step 3 is like, okay, now I'm like the person I want to become, but this is pretty scary. So, step 3 is really getting in that mindset of success and coming up with the definition of your success. So you call yourself a business coach, right? Or is it a success coach?
You know, I kind of like go back and forth. So I am a business coach because I know how to do the structures. I know how to do the system. I know how to do a lot of the back end stuff that a lot of people don't talk about. And I also know like the whole marketing side of it too, and creating content and courses. So I am a business coach, but I also, I think it should be more like a freedom-based business coach or something along those lines, a freedom strategist. So, but it is like success. I mean, that's what we all strive for. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Because I kind of feel the same way as you, go back and forth with it. But I call myself a success coach because we can all have our own definition of success. And to be that person now, to be that successful person and be in the mindset that you are successful, again, because that's going to attract that into your life. Because you actually have the decision now to choose if you're successful or not, right?
Yeah.
So I call myself a success coach because I want you to come up with your own definition that feels good to you and be successful not only in your business, but in your life as well. Because everything that we do, like you said, is to feel a certain way. And it's to feel good, right? We want to feel good. Like that's it. Everybody wants to feel good. So the mindset is really the third piece in saying, like, I have the choice to have a mindset where I'm feeling successful and I feel good. And that, again, is going to attract. I feel like we always do things backwards, you know, like, oh, when this happens, when I make this amount of money, then I'm successful. Or when I get the promotion, then I'm successful. But you actually have the power to choose that you're successful now and to be in that mindset, like, all right, I'm successful and I'm going to make shit happen. Right?
Yeah, no. And that is so true. And I like how it's the definition of success because it does look different for everybody. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's not some kind of cookie cutter thing because no one's creating the same kind of lifestyle, because my dreams are totally different than yours and everyone else on here. Y'all also have different dreams from Linda and I. And, you know, like one of the things that I always tell my clients is, what is your deepest desire? There's a show, I forget what channel or whatever it is, but it's called Lucifer, and it's about the devil. I know, it's crazy. It sounds crazy. No, but you watch it. Yeah, no, I love it. But it's about this devil, and he comes to Earth, and he's on this vacation, and he ends up staying, and he's helping to fight crime. And every single not victim, but like suspect, he ends up asking them, what is your deepest desire? And they end up saying, well, my deepest desire was to get back at blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, you're the killer or you're not the killer. Like he would be able to identify it. And then I was like, I need to start asking my clients this. And like, the thing was, like, I never even thought of that question. And here I am, and I was trying to like hustle and, you know, try to create success and things like that. And I didn't even have a clear image on it. And it didn't take me until I discovered what my deepest desires were, because I thought it was about income. And it totally wasn't about income. And I had to realize that and discover what it truly was. And my whole thing was about creating memories. I want to be able to have as many memories as I possibly can with the people I love, doing the things I love or have always imagined doing. And, you know, like, have an abundance of that. Like, that is what I care about. And, you know, like, that is the main focus. And then, of course, that's going to take financial freedom. That's going to take me being stress-free and being able to be present in every moment. It's going to take, you know, a ton of other things too, but it all had to go to the memories part. And it was so important for me to discover that it was the memories and it wasn't the money. And it wasn't even the part of me becoming a leader or becoming, you know, an entrepreneur and having my own business and my own income streams. It was literally memories. And that's what it's been since day one. I was just blind to it. So that I like that we are bringing in success, because it's important to realize what that is and why that is.
Yeah, you're on, and to choose right then and there and have the success mindset. That's basically the step 3. And then it's funny because you and I didn't talk about these 5 steps before we got on this podcast, but the 4th step is your desires.
Yes. I feel like, Linda, we just have this connection. Like so many parts of your story, whenever I hear you share them, I'm like, what is she doing? Like, that's totally my story. She's stealing my thoughts. Yeah, no, I feel like we have a lot of like the same parts. It's cool, funny, and maybe a little weird.
Yeah, a little weird. Like, get out of my story, Christy. No.
Why are you in my head?
No, the desires is like, if you don't know what you want, you're not going to get it. So it becomes really powerful when you actually sit down and you think about what you want and what you want your life to look like. So I want a lifestyle where I'm not working 1 week a month. So guess what? I don't work 1 week a month. And it's because I want to take that time, because I'm working with my clients throughout the first half of the month, or the first 3 weeks of the month. And the last week I take off, and it's for me to have the option to be creative and to travel if I want. And 2, like, if I'm taking the time for myself and taking care of my or being responsible for my own self-care or for what I truly desire, I'm more able to serve my clients on a much deeper level, because I'm taking care of myself. And so that's kind of what my desires are. But then I work with my clients and make sure I get specific on what they want and creating that life first, really, and then the business around it that supports it. So getting clear on what kind of lifestyle that you want to live, what your life you want it to look like, what things do you want, how do you want to feel, those things. That's
I love this step, obviously, because I was just talking about it. And like, the thing that I would just add to it would just be to be very detailed. The more detailed you are, the more you can actually vision it, like as if you were watching TV. Like, every little thing is on the TV. There was not a part of it that's blurry or missing. It starts to happen, and you're more driven to get there. And at the same time as you're working for it, it's like the universe is also helping you get to those desires too. And you're working together as one, because you have this clear image. And it's important to also focus on the desires that you also want to have, and constantly be in that moment. And I don't know how to say it. I guess like that circulation, or whatever you want to say. But with getting to that point, because when you do that, then it's more likely to happen. Because if you're thinking about your desires more than you are about your worries and all the other stressful shit and garbage that's going on in your life, the more you think about your desires versus all that, the more you're actually going to get there. Because it's like the whole law of attraction thing. So when you're thinking about all this great stuff, normally great things happen. When you're like, oh no, I'm about to get yelled at work, or I'm about to do whatever, or, you know, I'm probably gonna run out of gas while I'm driving on my road trip, like whatever, like bad things start to happen. That's never happened to me. But like it's true. Like when you start to change your mindset from thinking about all the terrible things to thinking about all these desires you truly do want to have, it's going to end up happening. And I'm not just saying like overnight. Of course, it's going to be a process and it's going to take time and stuff like that. But you get in that mode and good things start to happen to you. I should say that.
Yeah, you just are coming from a place where you're ready to receive, and getting specific is part of that. If you don't know what you want, you're not going to get it. So a lot of the times when I'm working with clients, like they're like, oh, a trip here would be amazing. And I'm like, okay, well, let's like put it in action. And like, how much is it going to cost? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, we got to get specific, girl. Just because a lot of the times they find out that it's actually possible to get there a lot faster than they thought that they would. And that's why I kind of like have this step-by-step in 5 months. I truly feel like if you follow these steps and you're, you know, maybe working with a mentor too, that in 5 months you can really create that freedom that you've always desired. So,
love that. Wait, was the desire step 4 or 5?
4. I believe.
Yeah, no, I think it was 4. What's step number 5, Linda?
Oh my goodness. What's step number 5 is you got to take action. You can't just be sitting here thinking you're successful.
That sounds so scary.
Yeah, like if there's an opportunity in front of you and it sounds like a good fit, but you know, you talked about your fear before in the beginning when we first started talking, but you're letting fear run the show. You're letting fear be in control of this life that you want. Then it's not going to happen if you don't take action.
Yeah. So do you have any advice for anyone that's out there listening that, you know, they start taking action and then they hit a burnout and they're overwhelmed and then they want to give up? And some of them do, some of them don't. But do you have any advice to help them keep on going after that, to keep thriving for more action?
So they take action and then they experience burnout, are you saying?
Yeah. Where they're like all gung-ho, like these are my dreams, we're in action, we're doing them, we're starting my business, I'm going to go on this trip, I have everything planned, and then all of a sudden, like, shit hits the fan, and then they're feeling like they can't do it anymore, or anything else like that. I feel like that's something that I get a lot for people that I talk to. Not just necessarily my clients, but even like people that I just talk to on the phone to see if we're the right fit.
Gotcha. That burnout always happens right then and there. I think it's just important to go back to your desires again and understand like this life that you want. If you're saying you want this freedom lifestyle, but you're working like crazy, and you're working like 16 hours a day on your business to make it happen, like, are you being true to this freedom lifestyle that you want to create for yourself? No. So to really, so for someone that is experiencing burnout, like go back to what you wanted and make sure that you're actually implementing that in your life, because that's probably where the problem lies. And then just to take time for yourself, because what happens is like, when you take a break, that's when the clients come in. Like my clients they don't reach out to me when I'm sitting at my computer, like waiting for a client and like saying, oh my goodness, I need this amount of money to do this amount of trip to, you know, create this lifestyle for my mom. It's when I go out for a nice walk during like the afternoon, or it's when like I take the time to actually go on a vacation. Because when you're in this, and you're in the frequency of like you are free and that you can create this lifestyle, that's when it's going to be attracted to you, and that's when it's going to make things a lot simpler, a lot easier. That's my advice.
that would be like my same advice too. I always tell my clients, I'm like, when are you living? Like you just told me about all this stuff going on, but how did you live? Mm-hmm. Like I always have to ask them that, because it's like, did you do something? Like these are your desires and you're not putting them into action. Mm-hmm. You're doing all these other action steps, which is awesome, and I want you to continue doing, but you're not doing your desires part. Like you're not bringing those to life, and like that's kind of the missing key. Like you have to live and create that freedom. And going back to my husband's grandfather's
Skydiving.
90th skydiving birthday party. So that was during my first business venture. And I remember getting off the plane and I'd gotten like notifications like crazy. I had the biggest week in my business and I had just started vacation. And then not to talk about like by the time we got back, like it was even bigger. I had so many clients that ended up doing that. And so far, like most of my trips that I take, I always end up getting a client or, you know, I always have some kind of income coming my way, expected, unexpected, whatever the case is, it's flowing my way. And that is so important that you touch on that. And like, you really do bring that to life because it is about living. It's about bringing those desires to life. It's about making the things that you had hoped to have come true and actually making them come true. Like there is no hope. Like hope needs to be dismissed from your vocabulary. Like we love that word, but you know, there's a new beginning after hope and it's called like you will achieve your dreams. Like there is no more hoping you'll achieve them. You will achieve them. And getting that kind of mindset in place. And you had said something else and now I'm kind of having a brain fart. But it had something to do with the fact, I know it happens a lot. I'm trying to save myself and it's totally not working.
It's okay.
But it had to do with the fact, you had said something. Okay, you said the whole living freedom and desires. Oh, rediscovering yourself. See, that's what happened to me whenever I started my business and I was doing great. And then I had that 6-month break and it was because I lost myself. And I had to revisit basically all 4, if not 5 of those steps to even revisit, like, what was I taking action on? And was I even doing what I had hoped to take action on? Because maybe I'm taking action on the wrong things, you know? And it's important that if you do get that burnout and, you know, you're not living an experience freedom that you'd hope to have, then review everything and really work on discovering who it is that you do want to become, going back to step number 2. And it's just redoing the process of it because all of those steps are so important at finding who you are and stepping up into becoming that empowered entrepreneur that you know deep down that you were born to become, just like Linda and I knew that we wanted to become an entrepreneur from diapers, from birth. So that's basically what this episode was all about with the 5 steps. I don't know if Linda has anything else to ask, but I may ask you another fun question next.
I liked how you touched on the self-discovery part and just like being the entrepreneur journey is like the biggest journey in self-discovery and self-development. I know we're being biased, right? But it wasn't until my business took off until I got real with myself and who I wanted to be. Like it was hard for me to kind of find my voice in the beginning of my business. And then when I did, it was like, oh, it's because like, this is the way I actually am. And I wasn't putting it out there and I wasn't showing people and feeling stuck and feeling that sense like I couldn't be myself is what's preventing you from like getting to where you want to be. So I just wanted to add on that too.
Yeah. And so the whole rediscovery part, that's basically like a feasibility study on yourself, or any of those that have like the traditional business, like if you know that knowledge and that kind of stuff. It's basically discovering, you know, is it even going to work with you as an entrepreneur, number 1, and who is this person that you are going to become as an entrepreneur, and really just focusing on all aspects of that and remembering that, you know, being an entrepreneur, it has a lot of risk. It has a lot of different roles. It has, you know, and I think that there's like something out there, or at least I say it now. I had it installed in me somewhere from a while back, but they say that entrepreneurs wear 17 different hats. And when you're starting out and you're taking those action, it's important to also reflect on that and to make sure that you're covering, you know, like all 17 areas, as I'm making my little parentheses, my little quotation marks, whatever, in the air. But it's important that you reflect on that and make sure that your action is doing that, because, you know, maybe you do have steps 1 through 4 and they're really good and really clear and you're doing the action, but maybe you're just forgetting a whole side of your business that, you know, if you were to have a team right now, is there stuff that your team members would be doing that you're not even covering right now as a solo entrepreneur? So we revisit that kind of action stuff too, and really take the time to really discover who it is that you are, who it is that you want to help serve and make the world a better place, and how you want to make the world a better place. Because when you have all those parts, and really the first 4 steps of what Linda has talked about, like that is like the magic part number 1. And you get the other stuff in line 2, you are going to explode. And that's where the magic's going to happen. Like, not explode in a bad way, explode in like success and, you know, reaching your freedom and your desires. And that, like, that's the magic part. And that's where it happens. But it has to be step 1 through 4. And do you want to quickly go over and list out the steps again in case someone's taking notes and forgot one?
Yeah, let's see. I'm like, well, what is step 1? I'm like, the pressure's on, Christy. No. First, like the first one is just the acknowledgement that there's something that's pushing you and telling you that you want something different, and not to fight it, and actually to I actually use this analogy too, that like use fear as a guide to what you really want. And then 2 is to stop asking yourself what you want to do with your life, and instead ask yourself who you want to become. 3 is to get in the mindset that you are the successful entrepreneur, that you get to define your own definition of success. 4 is, what do you want? What are your deepest desires? What's that lifestyle that you want for yourself? And 5 is to take action on it, because that's when that real sense of clarity is going to come.
Love it. Yeah. Well, thank you, Linda, for telling us about the five steps to freedom. Whether that's takes a month or 6 months, a year, whatever it is for different people on their journey of life, and we appreciate that. But this is the Wanderpreneur show, so I have one last question to ask you.
Uh-oh.
I know. So this show is all about lifestyle harmony, business, and of course traveling, and we didn't touch on the traveling part. So do you have a favorite place that you love to travel, or maybe like a crazy hilarious story about some vacation you went on?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. You're going to have to give me a minute, I think. Let's see.
Well, that's okay. Well, maybe I can share one of my memories. I'm trying to think which ones I have not shared. So since we've been talking about like rediscovering yourself and stuff like that, I'll mention how I rediscovered my business as Linda thinks about her travel piece. I should have told you this part ahead of time, and then I totally forgot. What did I say? I told you I fly by the seat of my pants, you know? But my thing was, whenever I was discovering myself and I had taken that big break, it wasn't until I was drunk on tequila, you know, margaritas and stuff in Mexico, overlooking, you know, the blue water. I forget if we were in Cozumel or Isla Mujeres. Both of those are on the East Coast for those that may not know Mexico. And we had just gotten married, Brad and I, and we were on the honeymoon, and here I am, and I'm like, aha, I know why my business is failing. And he's like, you're talking about your business? Like, what? And I was like, yeah, well, don't you like this? Like, don't you want to come back to Mexico more and not have to worry about, you only get 2 weeks of paid vacation, or, you know, like things like that. Like, we could just pick up and go, and we don't have to worry about taking off time or getting it requested first to see if it's even approved. And he's like, well, yeah, no, that would be nice. And I was like, okay, well, I want to make a deal with you. By our 1-year anniversary, like this business is going to be real, and we're going to be back in Mexico or somewhere really cool, because it's happening, and this is going to work. Like, just trust me on this, because I know what it is. Like, I don't have my lifestyle in my business. I was making it that stuffy professional way that I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, which was all about like being proper and having like the implementation that others were doing online. But that wasn't me. Like, I'm a down to earth kind of person. I say bad words sometimes. I've had bad things happen in my past, and I'm totally open to talk about with others. And I spent a whole year planning mine and Brad's wedding around our favorite hobby, which was traveling. And we had an elegant travel themed wedding. And here I am looking at my like foo-foo girly website with like sparkles and and stuff like that. And I'm like, this isn't even me.
Oh
So
my
it wasn't until Mexico where I was like, duh, I got to bring my lifestyle into my business, because it is a harmony as an entrepreneur to have the lifestyle in your business, and, you know, everything kind of flows and it has that harmony. I don't really believe in balance, because let's be honest, like, when is anything balanced? You could even put something on a balance at this, you know, the same balance, the same item, and it probably comes up with different weights.
Right.
So it wasn't until I was drunk in Mexico where I realized that my brand was totally not who I was, and that I needed to fix it and make it about, you know, wonder less, wonder more, and the Wanderpreneurs. Like, that's kind of like the birth. Like, that's what happened when this came to life. It wasn't until I was on my honeymoon in Mexico. So there's my little business story that you haven't heard yet on the episodes.
Oh, yeah, tequila. I love my tequila.
Yeah, Linda was talking about how she's a wine girl and was kind of showing me around the house with the wine. And here I am over here like, yeah, no, we don't have a wine shelf. We actually have like different types of tequila though. I have more bottles of tequila here than wine.
Hornitos is my favorite cheap tequila, but my favorite expensive tequila is Corzo. Have you ever had it?
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Oh, so good. But anyway, back to I guess I don't know if I have a favorite travel place, but the story of kind of moving out to Colorado is definitely like my jam, because and I'm saying we, as my fiance and I, moved out from New York to Colorado, and we took a 2-week trip out here in our car.
Oh, I love road trips.
Yeah, so I'm totally the road trip girl. What we did was every night before it started to get dark, we would find a local campground, and we just like had a tent as our home for literally 2 weeks, and we would just stop in one cool city to the other. So we stopped. So we've got to do another one. We're actually planning one in the summertime, but we didn't see any, because it's from New York to Colorado. It's like all the cool stuff is kind of like after Colorado when it comes to scenery and whatnot. But just that journey, that 2-week spontaneous journey, and just like not really knowing where we were going to sleep that night, but knowing it was all going to work out, and having that faith, and kind of relating that back to like business. Like when I moved out to Colorado, I didn't have a job to go to, and I didn't have a home. I had a tent as a home. But I had faith that I knew it was going to work out. I knew that this was just something that we were going to do together, and like we weren't going to be homeless. We weren't going to be like living in the street. And so just having that faith and knowing that this is what you're supposed to do and it's supposed to work out kind of is like the encompassing like lifestyle and business right there.
Yeah, I love that. What kind of places did you stop at on the way?
So the big places were Vermont. We're really into seeing like little local shows. So we went to go see a little local band. And then we went through Cleveland, Ohio, Chicago. We drove up around the Michigan Lake, like up through Michigan through the UP.
That's the opposite way to Colorado.
I know. I know. It was like we took a little journey around the lake, and we kind of just camped out around the lake, and then from there it was just we went to the Mall of America, which wasn't exciting, Minnesota, but it was just fun. It was fun to be on the road and like rock out to some music in the car, and then like kind of have that sense of freedom that was probably like the stepping stone to really get my butt in gear.
I love that. I love road trips too. I've done one up to North Carolina and one to Vegas, and both of them, the scenery on the way to Vegas, like especially when you got to like Arizona, was so beautiful. It was awesome being able to like see like the not necessarily Grand Canyon, but the canyons up there, and being on roads that were like high up in the air and looking over, and it's like, man, if we fall off, we would be dead right now because we're high in the sky. But that one was so cool, being able to do that, and I did that one with a girlfriend. And then on the East Coast, it was Brad and I gotta say, like, if you can be in a car with somebody that long, they are like your soulmate. Because I mean, there's times where like you wanna kill somebody in the car, but like we had so much fun. Both of those trips were so much fun. And being able to see a lot of different things and go to a lot of places and not know what's going to happen. And it's kind of like all spontaneous and stuff like that. And it's cool when you're on a road trip because you don't have to worry about like, you know, the cruise ship is leaving, the plane is leaving. Like you don't have to worry about all that because you are in control and you have like the true freedom of your vacation. Versus, you know, like when it's gonna start and end when it comes to cruises and train rides and bus rides. I don't know if people do those or not. I don't do a bus ride. I mean, I ride a bus sometimes if I'm in a city, but I've never done like a cross country bus ride or train ride. But I've seen people doing a lot of trains lately, and that seems a little cool. But I'd probably want to stop everywhere on the way, so maybe that's not a cool idea for me. Well, thank you, Linda, for being here and sharing a little bit about what you do and who you are and that lovely road trip story. Do you want to tell others how to find you?
So let's see. I mean, I have my website, lindabello.com, and it's Bello, Bello, like hello. A lot of people like to put the W at the end. Not the W, girl. So lindabello.com. If you want to connect a little bit more intimately, I do have a Facebook group, and it's just facebook.com/groups/Linda
Oh, well, awesome. Yeah, so Linda is awesome. We're all going to have to go check her out and follow her. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the Wanderpreneur show today. It was great to have you all listening in. And I hope that no matter when you're listening to this, whether it's just launched or just a month later on or a year or whatever it is, this is content that's like not gonna go out of style. Like this is in style for life. So I hope you have some kind of value and that you are more motivated and inspired and actually have the steps now to start taking action in the direction of your dreams. So without further ado, we're going to get off here, and I hope everybody has an awesome day. Bye.